quick little prequel, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We're just hanging out. It's before our standard recording time, but Ed's got to go. You've got a work meeting?
Yes.
Lame.
Yep. Nighttime meeting.
That's all right. Prequel to this episode of Prime Ratio. I am host Felix. And yeah, as before, we are joined by guest Ed. Guest Ed, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Ed. I ride bikes and I go fast.
You go fast, eh?
Yeah, not fast enough, but fast.
Cool. What's your background? What got you into bikes?
I got into bikes because I was thrust onto one as a child and told to learn.
Weren't we all?
Yep. A knee smacked against a tow hitch later. I eventually learned how to ride bikes and intermittently have obsessively ridden them ever since.
That's fair. I like it. Yeah. That's fair. And when did you start riding with us, with the crew here?
I would say officially a couple of years back on a Redwoods run with a few people that we know.
Yep, that was one that Ryan ran.
No, it was prior to
Ryan's?
that. No, it was Callum's.
Callum's,
yeah.
Okay, a while back.
That was a day filled with chaos, lots of pedaling, and a very fun nighttime sprint back to the train station.
Remember hearing about that. It
Yeah.
sounded like a whole hell of a time.
I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to doing it again. But I recently started riding with everyone properly in probably November? Late November?
Yeah,
roughly.
yeah. You've been rolling with us for a touch over 6 months? Nearly? No, not even that. 5, yeah. Maybe 6 months next month?
5 and change.
5 and change, yeah, exactly. We'll say that. And you've got, so far as I know, how many bikes have you got?
3 currently.
3 currently?
And I've got a rogue frame I'm going to sell at some point.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, so 3.
3. And what are they? You've got a Bianchi here, Bianchi Pista.
Yep, I am an absolute classic tragic with a Chrome Bianchi Pista, one of the OGs, with the multicoloured badging, bullhorns, which everyone else hates, but I cannot stop myself. I might have seen Premium Rush too many times. I also have a Crux that I picked up off one of our fellow community members, Ryan, which I've been thrashing around a little bit.
It's a Crux with a single speed conversion on it, right?
Correct.
You've got aspirations to put some gears on it.
Yep, turn it into a little bit of a gravel situation.
A flat bar adventurer.
Yep, flat bar adventurer.
Sick.
One by something. And then I also found an old Tarmac Pro that's full carbon on Facebook Marketplace. And
Nice. Carbon road bike.
it is. I've been riding that a little bit, and it's very quick.
Nice.
It's very, very quick.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. So when you say you go fast, do you mean you go fast or your bikes go fast? What's the...
I like to think that we work in synergy to go fast together.
It's a team effort, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
Beautiful pairing between man and machine.
That's it. So since you've joined us, you've kind of gotten the hang of riding in groups. You've gotten the hang of the way the community works, and for the most part, you've integrated yourself very nicely. Made a name for yourself, done lots of stuff. You've been doing a couple alleycats as well, right? And I think you've done 3, 4?
3 so far.
3 so far.
Yeah.
And they were the Burns Brigade annual alleycat, which was last year. Someone's breaking into something. Oh, well.
That might have to be an edit point.
No. Sorry, I'm leaving that in.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
So there was the Burns Brigade annual alleycat, which was I think haven't discussed like on record, but
No.
What were your thoughts on that being your first alleycat?
So I was familiar overall with the concept of an alleycat, but had never actually raced in one before. But going into it, especially with the QR code situation and the what was like a quite well constructed like series of references to the history of the Burns Brigade and everyone's like history with it and the different locations and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was all very nicely put together, but it was definitely bewildering, partly because I was a newcomer and partly because it was my first alleycat.
Yes.
But the adrenaline rush and the experience of, thrashing after Scott desperately down crowded streets and running a couple of risky maneuvers through traffic was next level.
Yes. Yeah. I feel that. Yeah, there were definitely a lot of references to things that most folks wouldn't have known. But each QR code had a link to a Google Maps search result.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the worst thing in the world.
No.
And then a couple more you did Geordie's Sips and Circles, which I mentioned last week. That was I'm not going to label that as an alleycat. That was more of just like a gauntlet of drinking, I think would be the thing.
An egregious application of both liver and legs.
Yes, you put both to the test thoroughly. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I came first. Not to brag, but
yes.
However, that was definitely due to being able to drink my way out of a lot of situations and into a lot of situations.
Yes.
In terms of the format and the structure, again, very enjoyable. I like sprinting. I like going very fast, as previously mentioned. Especially finding those few kind of tracks, around the MCG, around Marvel, around Albert Park. Those were very fun. And the drinking aspect was also pretty good, but I think that there was a slight imbalance of challenge for drinking versus riding.
Yes.
So definitely enjoyed the format. Would love to do something similar again. And it was a great day for all concerned.
I can see that happening again in the middle of winter, but with mulled wine.
Oh no!
Mulled wine,
no.
Mulled cider.
Oh, get to the end of the track with a mulled wine glass still full, and then you have to drink it.
I can see an urn on the front of a cargo bike that's powered by a dynamo. I can see that. That's a thing.
You got to refill mid-ride.
Yep. Actually in motion. That could be a fun little thing.
Yep.
I don't know.
Mulled motion.
That's it.
That's the name of the alleycat.
And then the last one was on lock, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Your one.
My one. Yeah.
Not to bury the lead.
Again, I mentioned that one last week as well. That one was a couple weeks ago. And yeah, how'd you find that one?
I really enjoyed it. Once again, I placed third, which is very good for what I expected of myself in that situation. But again, there was a lot of DNFs. Not a lot. There were a few DNFs and a couple of people who couldn't finish it because of various responsibilities they had to leave for. So.
And also, folks had trouble with the locks and stuff.
Exactly.
There was some equipment failures too.
Yeah. But so the result aspect of it was very surprising to me. But the process of that race and the style of it and the format was also really cool. Going around collecting things, and everyone's got different destinations to go to. Yeah. And you have to very much use your head a lot more. And it definitely rewarded being able to take slightly different routes or kind of route around things that you normally wouldn't go straight through. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, that was kind of the intention with my sort of game design, if you will, was to have different. Everyone would have to take a different route. Yeah, and would have to make their own way and not rely on other people. Because that's a good way to I guess breeze your way through an alleycat. Yeah. But also everyone's got a phone. Everyone can search for an address. Everyone can take a photo of a map and then reference where that is. Yep. That's dead easy. This episode is actually going to come out after the fact, but we are recording this the week before. Max's analog alleycat is coming up. Speaking of phones. Are you planning on taking part in that?
Absolutely.
Sick.
I am quivering with both anticipation and terror.
Excellent.
I'm not sure exactly what it's going to involve. I hear that it's potentially a bit more traditional, checkpoint to checkpoint, and obviously no phones allowed. No maps, nothing like that, which I very much like the idea of.
Yeah.
But again, it's putting the street knowledge to the test, and the internal kind of the map knowledge, which, I mean, nowhere close to Ryan's encyclopedic knowledge of Melbourne.
We do apply the nickname of Tom Tom to Ryan because he is like a GPS with his knowledge of streets and neighborhoods.
An argument could be made that he might actually not be able to race in the analog alleycat because he's too good.
I think. Is he out of town for that weekend? Isn't that why he's not racing?
Coincidence?
I don't know. I'm prepared to die on that hill, you know. Yeah, I'm keen for that one. I need to figure out who I should chase for that one because I'll be riding and filming. Yep. And that'll be a fun time. Yeah. Max's last alleycat was good fun. I had fun filming that. I think I chased Alex for the most part on that one. And he's always good fun. Yep. But yeah, so as well as being involved with the alleycats, you've run or at least helped run a couple of our weekly Monday night rides. I have. How have you found that as like either an experience in general or as an experience in learning?
Fantastic, challenging. People are like herding cats. Yes. As we know.
I agree.
I think it's very interesting finding the balance point between my natural inclination for cycling, which is like just go wherever I want to go, and have a vague idea and reroute if I need to, and just kind of find a spot or find a way through. Yeah. As opposed to like some people who might expect a more definite route and or kind of be following along and not necessarily have all the confidence in the world, especially if you were kind of going off piste. But also the process of like planning a route and having something for everyone and trying to kind of guide people through a fun ride is very cool.
Yeah, that's fair.
And also taking a head count before you leave so that you can actually remember.
So you can make sure everyone's there.
Make sure everyone gets to each of the regroup points.
That is always important. Cool. Well, you've got to go pretty soon. Yep. I think you've been watching the clock. But I figured I would round off your little prequel with a couple things. First off, I've noticed you've been building up to a certain image, and you referenced it before. An image maybe inspired or on its way to a copy of a certain character from a certain film. You mentioned Premium Rush. It's a cult classic. Most folks in the crew have seen it. You kind of can't really avoid it if you ride fixed gear in any sort of community. Now you're building yourself up to look like one of those characters, right? Is it like more of like a one-to-one kind of thing, or are you putting your own spin on it? Is this a cosplay that you're doing in life? Method cosplay, we'll say. I think
conceptually it began as like a kind of cosplay-esque situation, but very swiftly moved to its inspiration for and informing then how I kind of ride, what I ride, and kind of what I dress like and choose to kind of include.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
That's cool. So is your dream frame then that Affinity Metropolitan?
No, actually. No? Weirdly enough, no. I do enjoy that as a bike, as an artifact, as it were. But my dream frame is definitely the Bianchi Pista, and has been for the longest time.
Oh, you're there.
So I'm already there. I'm living the dream.
Nice.
But so this is where you can see like the small references. So I still ride straps. Yep. Much like Old Mate from the movie that must not be named.
Old Mate, do you remember his character name?
Exactly. It's Wiley.
Wiley,
yep.
Yes. Yep.
And I've got the same bullhorns that he has in the film, the Nitto ones, which they very proudly proclaim are identical to the ones in the film. Yep. So it's like elements are being drawn and applied to, but overall it's just kind of like
your spin.
Yeah, my spin.
Yeah, cool.
To make a pun.
Awesome. And so we've done a couple of key changes to your bike today, just before we sat down and started recording. One of which was the headset, another one was the stem. Getting rid of a bunch of, shall we say, creative bodges to your bike setup. You have mentioned a few things, but what is next in this journey of I don't know, a visual homage,
Ship of Theseus style
something
replacement.
like that. Yeah. What's next?
With a bit more practice, I'm going to forego the front brake. I'm feeling fairly confident with brakeless at the moment. I've barely used it for a while, which is good.
Cool.
So that'll clean things up nicely and just kind of really like hone in on the central philosophy of fixed gear, which we all like and enjoy.
Yeah, nice.
But depending on parts availability, we're looking at some new pedals.
Yep.
Going for the Sylvan X Gorditos, which are Sylvan track pedals, but they're big enough to take pedal straps, hopefully.
Yeah, they're MKS's like standard, like all-purpose road pedal with a little bit wider platform. Hence the Gordito. I think Gordito is Italian for large.
We hope.
Yes, I believe so.
Yep.
And that'll add a certain little something.
And hopefully a fork.
Hopefully a fork. Yeah, something with some nice lugs.
Yeah, we're thinking lugged.
Who doesn't love a good couple of lugs, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Old boxes,
exactly. We'll wrap it up with this one last little thing. If you've listened to previous episodes of Prime Ratio, you know that we love a hot take, a topic, a difference of opinion. And we always ask for it, and we've got a couple of them banked that I'm going to integrate into future episodes, as I've said. Ed, do you have any to add to the mix? Do you have any to ask to Max, because he's coming in later?
For Max, probably what kind of riding would he not do?
Okay. Yep.
And that could be doing some real tricky shit through traffic, or who knows. My hot take is, and we already all know this about me, is that I think bullhorns are the prime example of handlebars.
Okay.
Both stylistically and for bar feel. And I don't understand generally why people ride anything else.
Okay, that's a strong one. It's a strong one. I like it. Yeah, no, that's cool. All right. Easy. Well, we'll wrap it up there. You got to go and do your work meeting thing.
Do real life stuff.
What time does that wrap up?
That wraps up at 7:30.
7:30. Do you want to come back?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, if you want to go off, do your meeting, and then come back.
Yeah, for sure.
I reckon we might be able to do like a full recording with Max. I actually still have no idea where he is, but we'll see.
He's maxing around.
He's maxing around doing this thing. This has been something. I'm not sure what, but it's either a prelude into the main episode, or it's a miniature episode of its own.
Subprime ratio.
Yes, exactly. Ed, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
We'll see you again in a little bit.
Absolutely.
Until then, I'm going to finish this beer, and you're going to go off and do some work.
Correct.
The parallels are ridiculous.
And never ending.
Never ending. All right, be back in a sec. Clean. Almost in sync. Cheers. We are back once again. There you were, thinking you could get rid of us.
Impossible.
No, impossible. No, we're here. And this is going to be the section after the prelude. I think it's called the episode.
The postlude.
The postlude. The lude. I don't know. And that is going to be this main episode of Prime Ratio. We are back with host Felix and guest Ed.
What up?
Who's done finger guns despite there being no camera. There will be a camera eventually. I'm working on that.
There's the implications of a camera.
That's it. I'm hoping the clicks came through, but we'll see. Anyway, we're back with a little bit more structure. All of the prelude was pretty much done off top because I hadn't written up any notes or anything. I've since written up some notes and have had a little bit of food, so I'm thinking a little bit more clearly, which is nice. So, yeah. How are you, Ed?
Good.
Good?
Good.
Nice.
Yeah. Enjoying the week so far.
How was work?
Pretty cruisy.
Pretty cruising?
Yeah.
Nice.
Sent the emails, talked to the people.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Did you listen to the people too?
I tried not to.
Good man.
Yeah.
It's, we've already been through the summary, introductions and stuff, so we can just sort of dive into it.
We have.
Niceties
observed
and edited, hopefully skillfully, into the beginning of this episode. We are pretty much going to roll with a facet of the topics that I had set aside.
Mm-hmm.
As I mentioned before, we were going to talk about, among other things, like riding in winter, whether or not you winterize your bike, and if so, what you do with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we might save that for another episode with Ryan. I think that would be a good one to discuss with Ryan.
I think it's a very good idea,
because he does winterize his bikes and does specific things I know about, but I think it'd be cool to put him on with like someone who doesn't know anything about it.
He strikes me as the type who would have like logs stacked up against his cabin, ready for the winter, and like he would prepare
exactly
for the change in season.
Exactly. You step into his old apartment in like North Melbourne. It's like a log cabin on the inside.
Scale replica.
That would be fun.
Fits one person.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But no, I had an idea because we were discussing a number of developments, both in terms of hardware, in terms of fashion, in terms of like just a general mindset.
Yep.
And that was not to get all, shall we say, philosophical on yo ass.
Wax poetic.
But yeah, but the idea of completion, right? As a concept, like if you were to say start a build, let's say when you bought this Bianchi, which we've discussed previously, as it was, or what have you, did you have the vision for it then that you do now, or has it developed over a period of time getting to know it?
I think due to it was my first build that I did myself, at least initially, with the very helpful help of Matena Cycles. Ad drop. Sponsored content.
Plug.
Yeah.
Yep.
So initially I, dream frame / bike, and I didn't have any idea about any parts, anything like that. I was just like, I want to get this frame and make it rideable.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted bullhorns as well, but that was partially because I had always ridden bullhorns, so I just kind of wanted to like maintain the same.
Keep that thing that you knew.
Exactly.
Keep it comfortable. Yep.
Yeah. So it was definitely a journey of self-discovery about like what I enjoyed and like parts that came up. I pipped Tom to the post on a pair of wheels that I got for $40, which was an incredibly good deal.
That's a very good deal.
Yeah. And so that's what happens when you stay abreast of Facebook Marketplace.
It's true.
But anyway, so it's the journey of building the bike has been great. There was never a particular concept behind it. It was just, I want to make this rideable, and then as I go, I'm going to replace parts with better ones and things that like work a bit better, or tweak, sizes, like the stem length, fix the seat post. That was a big one.
Yeah.
That was a teamwork.
I'm gonna have to wait until Alex is back on for that one, because that was a story. Like, that
was biblical.
I think the guys at the bike shed at Series will never trust us again.
Arguably, nor should they. But
after that, I mean, yeah. But no, anyway, I digress.
But yeah, it's. I think that it's like, in terms of the setup, it's around about like more or less complete.
Okay.
So in terms of the ride feel, it's not going to change over much. So like, I'm not really going to, like, maybe a different, like a straight seat post as opposed to a setback one.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm pretty happy with everything else. The ratio is really good, 49-17 for the those playing at home.
Yeah.
And so now it's a process of like replacing parts with the good version of them.
Going for like aesthetics and like pedigree to a degree.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And a little bit of quality as well. That doesn't hurt.
No.
Maybe a cheeky like Roman saddle or something.
That's it. Specialized Roman is a nice one.
Mm-hmm,
It's up there. It's in my top 10 saddles at least.
Look, if you have to pick one, you might as well pick from the top 10.
That's true. Yep.
And yeah, maybe track down a fancy chainring now that I'm happy with the 49 for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Get something polished.
Yeah, we'll polished one, maybe with some nice cutouts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Bespoke is still doing things, I believe.
Bespoke are still doing things.
Yep. Who was I talking to? I was talking to Ramsey last night.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Tuesday for those playing at home.
This is Tuesday.
Post Monday Night Ride, 24th of March, 2025 to date us.
You've broken the immersion.
No. This is time out of time.
That's
Prime ratio coming
that's
at
true.
you.
This one was going to be regardless. It would have had to have been date stamped because it's going to be scheduled to come out on Sunday.
Well,
and we were going to be talking to Max, who's organising an alleycat on Saturday. So we would have possibly tried to discuss some things, and it wouldn't have mattered anyway because it would come out after the fact.
Well, that's a little peek behind the curtain.
Peek behind the curtain. Yeah. Now it's just me. Like things are going to be a bit more consistent. As I said last week, there'll be more consistent uploads. I'll be probably banking some episodes. So. I can relax a little bit and take my time with assembling guests and doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
you know how it is assembling. You gotta make sure the arms are in the right place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just like a bike.
Exactly.
Or Lego.
Yeah.
Or democracy.
I don't know. Pieces don't stick together so well in democracy. But
yeah, true. But so to square that circle, I was chatting to Ramsey last night, and he was saying that there's some very fun chain rings coming out of Ukraine that look like turbines, apparently.
Yeah, is this Rakita?
I don't know.
This is probably Rakita.
If that's what it is and that's what they do, then that's what they are.
Mm-hmm. So Rakita are a Russian track bike part manufacturer. They make the hubs on my main wheels I have on my Janelle.
Yeah, right.
And they also make chain rings and cogs. And they make nice things. And they're quite good. There's a little bit of contention with buying parts from Russia and all that sort of stuff, but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff popping up secondhand on Marketplace, and also like you can hate where something comes from, but if it's quality and it serves a purpose, then I don't have any problem with someone buying it. I'm not above. Like I buy my pedal straps exclusively from a manufacturer in Ukraine. That's Zulu straps. They're from Ukraine, and I love them. I've always run them. I have multiple sets of hubs and multiple sets of wheels. They're from Russia, Poland, America, Italy, Japan, everywhere. So doesn't matter.
Mr. Worldwide.
That's me. Hello. But so you've kind of hit your peak of like say functionality on the bike, and you're just now looking to polish the edges.
Correct.
Cool. Nice.
Barring misadventure of the frame itself, if something occurs. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I think is the intention.
That is.
I am toying with the idea of a flat bar, like slightly more trick focused fixie, but I haven't quite completed that journey yet of like what I want and how I want to approach it.
Okay, that's right. As far as the sort of upgrades, is there any sort of upgrade that you would... This is a callback to a past episode. Is there any upgrade that you would consider, given the opportunity, that is really, really nice, but like nowhere near worth it, like something unnecessarily expensive, almost prohibitively expensive? That you would just get, just because it's cool? Have you already done that with the Velo Orange stem?
I think I might have already done that with the Velo Orange stem and the
Nitto bars.
The Nitto bars.
Okay.
I was going to say a Chris King headset because first of all, that like makes sense in that realm of it's so expensive for like I have gotten a headset. So yeah, I think the Chris King headset kind of sits as the one day maybe if I really feel like it. That said, a lot of the time the Chris King stuff, especially with their branding, to me looks a little bit too flashy. Like it detracts from the core like idea of the bike itself, which is, you know, the frame.
The frame and
the decals
bits
and
attached to it. Yeah.
I'm not so much about, look, I've got a specialized branded saddle and like, you know, check out my, you know, fancy Omnium cranks or something. I'm like, kind of, those are integral components to the bike. But at the end of the day, the bike is the bike. The bike isn't, you know, a bunch of branding.
No,
as it were.
It's a combination of different parts and pieces that have been selected and assembled and you know, put together.
It's about balance.
Exactly.
For this bike, at least.
For this bike, yeah. And I mean, you know, balance for a bike is very important. It won't work very well if it doesn't balance.
Yeah, exactly. Be in a ditch.
You would be in a ditch for sure. Do you reckon, given the opportunity to say reset your collection of bikes? We mentioned before you've got 3.
Yes.
3.5.
3.5.
3 and change, let's say. If given the opportunity to sort of have a clean slate, reset your bikes, would you do the same thing? And if not, what would you do?
Great question.
Let's build. Say a dream stable.
A dream stable.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't see myself going any other direction than still going with the Bianchi.
It is a dream frame after all.
Dream frame, and also the experience and all the mistakes I made in building it, sourcing parts, blah blah blah. Like great journey, great experience and learning experience.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I would still grab the Crux. That's a story yet to be told. That one. I'm looking forward to building that out.
Yep.
Showing Ryan what it's truly capable of.
Absolutely.
Some sick jumps on a gravel course, but we'll see. I think the main one I'm hesitant about nowadays is the carbon road bike, the Specialized I got, which maybe it's partially because I haven't ridden it too much recently, but it feels a little bit excessive, and I might have been better served getting a, I'm not even sure, but just like something else, something a little less excessive and requires a little bit less work to get it up to like a really nice spec.
Yeah.
But not to, you know, blow my own trumpet, but I don't think I've made too many mistakes when it comes to the stable so far.
No, there's been nothing that you've either messaged me about or brought to me that has flown any red flags so far.
Yeah. Just a couple of, you know, light pink ones.
Couple of questionable choices, but nothing that I've said just flatly no to.
We all have our proclivities.
We'll get there eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But still,
I think in terms of a dream stable, as we say, N+1.
Always the way.
And it's very easy to let yourself kind of go off into like dreamland and have a bike for every occasion. But I think a slightly different geometry fixie. Flat bars, a little bit of that kind of, bit more of that Mash SF style, like doing some cool stuff. Maybe some bar spins if I'm feeling like breaking my collarbone. And is it an engine 11 that Benji has?
Yep.
Yeah. Some kind of like that realm of like track bike.
Yeah,
would be very nice. But if we're talking about like blue sky thinking, anything's possible.
Yep. My
long-term plan, and this is a little bit of a declaration on the podcast, you're hearing it here first, folks. is I want to track down a blank carbon frame.
Right.
For like a track carbon frame.
Okay.
And I want to get my father, who is an artist, to paint said frame.
Ooh.
He has a very fun cubist style of like blocks of color that are slightly varied, and they kind of like when they go together, that turns into a full like picture.
Oh, nice.
And I want him to do it in the style of one of his paintings, which is called The Green Man, which is a reference to a British legend of like a spirit that lives within the woods and come. Anyway, it's green. The point is, it's green and it's cool. Now you will notice a carbon track frame, very similar to a certain anchor that flies around at the moment, and the color palette is on the opposite end of the color spectrum to the colors that are flying on the said anchor.
I see. Okay.
I wouldn't call it entirely
this
declarative, but
this is seeming like the beginning of like a villain arc type thing.
Look, we've all been to medieval times,
or some sort of like hero genesis story.
Look, everyone needs a rival, and a raison d'etre, if you will. And if that happens to be someone who consistently is a better and faster rider than you, then so be it.
Okay.
And if you have to construct an entire dream scenario where you create the perfect weapon in order to defeat your rival, well, so be it.
Okay.
Self-declared rival, not an actual rival. Not an actual rival. Yeah.
No,
Let's be clear about that.
I suspect that is the case. Well, that's fine. We've discussed there's a lot of colourful and different personalities in the community.
Absolutely.
And there's going to be a lot of different views on other members of this colourful and varied community. But that's all part of the fun,
Exactly.
It is what it is, and what are you going to do? But
create a work of art that goes fast as fuck. Hopefully.
Exactly. That's why we all build bikes, No, all right. I see it. I've certainly had my phase of excess in the pursuit of aesthetics. I think buying 2 different coloured Chris King bottom brackets to match the colours on the inside of the chainstays on the Chinelli was my peak. That was very very unnecessary, but I'm very glad that I did it, and that's one of the things that people comment on when they see that bike.
That's both kind of understated and at the same time incredibly ostentatious.
It's always a balance between those two things. Like whenever I build a bike, I consider it very carefully, and I take my time with it and include a lot of very subtle references to other parts of the frame in the build. So all of my builds take at least a year to finish, or at least conceptualize.
Well, every part does tell a story.
Yeah, and so doing all that is quite fun. But
what's been your favorite one so far?
Favorite one so far? Honestly, it's the only one that's not done. It's the Bullet. The Bullet has been fun. That it's just been it's had a less than structurally sound steering rod for the entire time that we've had it. This is a cargo bike that Alex and I co-own. Alex bought the frame, the wheels, and I bought everything else and built it.
It's a beautiful partnership. It's
great, and so but it lives at the shop, so I can use it for shop runs and taking recycling to the recyclery and stuff. And the steering linkage on it has been loose and has had play for the longest time,
which is traditionally not what you want in a steering linkage.
It's not what you want, and I ordered a new steering linkage, and it's sitting on the bike right now. I just haven't gotten around to it, because if I do, I'm going to pull the whole bike apart. I'm going to clean it up and get all the oxidation off the raw aluminium, and I'm going to lacquer it. and do all that. So it's like, it's like one small job that will turn into like one massive job.
Yeah, because you can't just leave it like that. You have to actually get in there and do it properly.
Yeah, and like I might chuck some fenders on it. I might look into building up a dynamo wheel for it. I might
get some running lights.
All of those things, But yeah, so I'm holding off because it's fine. And I haven't died yet. So
it's something for a rainy day.
Exactly.
Yeah, which are coming.
Which they're on the way. Yeah, for sure.
We are heading into winter.
Yeah. I reckon we're at a pretty good point time-wise. We've been shooting the shit cumulatively for about 45 minutes.
That's solid.
Pretty good, eh?
That's a pretty good.
There'll be probably minimal editing for that. But no, I reckon with that we'll wrap it up. You got to go to bed. You got to go home first and then go to bed.
Yep. Time and tide wait for no man, so they say.
We will we'll wrap up. I'll do a quick little outro. Not intro. We've done the intro.
Yep.
Time's weird these days. But this has been another episode of Prime Ratio. I have been Felix. I've been joined by Ed. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Good hangs. If you have any hot takes, questions, queries, stuff that you want us to comment and either agree or disagree with, by all means, send it through to us either by email at ridebikesandbemerry@gmail.com or hit us up on Instagram at Felix the Other Cat for myself personally, or Melbourne Alleycats. That's spelled Melburn Alleycat. That is the sort of community page that Alex and I co-run. We may add some more people in future. There wasn't really a sponsor for this episode, but if you would like to get involved and come ride bikes with us, come along. We run a Monday night ride every Monday night, meeting up at Melbourne Museum at 6 p.m, rolling out at 7. It's a good opportunity to meet some like-minded people who enjoy riding bikes in Melbourne and drinking beers in Melbourne, usually in that order. Beyond that, it will be a day too late, but I hope you enjoyed the analog alley cat. Hopefully Max did a good job. Hopefully we can be talking about how Ed swept the board and won it all. Maybe, I don't know.
We can only dream.
We can only dream.
Yep. I'll be happy to just participate.
That's it. Participation is the first step.
Participation is prime ratio.
I was waiting for something like that. But this has been Prime Ratio. We're gonna leave it at that. Alex isn't here to do his catchphrase. So do you wanna spin off a fresh little catchphrase to round off the episode?
I already delivered it.
You delivered it?
Participation is prime ratio.
There you go. Perfect. That's good.